Yeah, today I want to talk a bit about some of the topic of our daily devotional that Sandy and I have been having. They're really kind of cool. We've been talking a lot about through the book that we're working through for our morning devotionals, breaking down the Lord's Prayer. Yesterday, obviously, was Our Father. Today was Who Art in Heaven. And as Sandy was reading the materials, it dawned on me, because I've come to believe in this part of my journey, that heaven is here. It's right here. You see it, you hear it around me right now. I didn't always stop to recognize that or feel that or sense that, because I was caught up, like many of you are or will be, in seeking education and careers and jobs, relationships and things like that. But in your older season in life, your second half of your life, if you will, you have more time to really think. And I suppose that's why my grandparents and a lot of folks who have been older seem to be much more mature spiritually and in tune with their faith. But I've come to understand that who art in heaven, for me, I can reflect now back on my entire journey and think about, man, I've seen God and felt the presence of God in so many things. But I'm going to be specific about a few things that maybe will prompt you to consider this the next time that you encounter God in this existence of heaven on earth. And for me, coming over a hill and seeing a freshwater lake, I usually just, or even the ocean, bodies of water, significant bodies of water, and the majesty of God's creation in that just makes me freeze in my footsteps. And I always say, thank you, Father. I've catch myself remembering so many times when I would drive over an overpass and I'd look to the left and right and see a river or a lake, and the way it butts up against the shore and the water's rippling and the wind moving across the waves and the serenity of that. And it reminds me that God had just gave me this glimpse into Him. And I don't mean that let me just qualify something here. When I talk about God, I've also come to believe that God, this is not you can't characterize God necessarily through sexist labels, although the scriptures reference God as he, that, and whatever, and that's cool. And if God is a male figure or whatever, that's cool too. But I've also felt the femininity, anyway, the female side of our Creator, wonderful heavenly parent. And either way, but that's one example of feeling in the presence of God. The majesty of seeing mountains. I was on a trip in Wyoming not long ago with my brothers, and the majesty of the rolling hills, and no wonder these things inspired songs, patriotic songs, and has moved human beings to their very core of their spirit and their soul enough to motivate them and inspire them to write music. So that was pretty cool. Anything like that in nature usually inspires that, and it's pretty amazing to think about those moments. I think, though, that being around people who laugh, the sound of laughter, to me sounds like the heavenly host giggling at some of my silly things about life, the things I get so caught up in the past and would worry so much about, that somehow seems sort of trivial later in life when I look back on it. And it's pretty amazing. But fresh cut grass, I remember as a child, when I smelled grass, it made me stop and just kind of look around and go, I don't want to lose this moment. There's something about that just, fresh cut watermelon. When we were kids, we'd walk back through the country, and you'd walk down a country road and you'd pass some honeysuckle vines, and the smell would just overtake you with beauty and majesty, and it would just stop you. And whatever you're doing, you just went, oh man, thank you, God, for this moment. But God seems to give us these pauses throughout our human experience to remind us that He is real, God is real, and that the majesty and the power and the wonder of His creation, and truly, it's hard to find words to describe how I feel about all of that. But I do know that I do believe that there is the reality of heaven here on earth, that spiritual dimension that we sometimes forget to tap into. But I think God encourages us. Christ certainly encouraged us through prayer and through other practices to be able to touch and feel God in real ways in our human condition, that gives us affirmation and confirmation that God is real, that we are real, and that we are here for a purpose. And I think that it's important to acknowledge that. It's important to say those things out loud, because I want to name it as out loud so that you'll hear it, and perhaps take time to inquire and search yourself, and ask yourself your own questions about your journey, and what some of that has meant, what perhaps we've missed. And I know I've probably missed a lot because my mind was on other things. But the mind is a powerful thing. God gave us these souls, and science is able to explain the biology and science around the human body and life on this planet. But I've yet to find anybody that can truly tap into the essence of the soul and be able to prove that. So you're left with just this confirmation, this affirmation, this truth that is written in your soul back all the way into your vertebrae, into your DNA. You know that God is real, and you know that there is something there, that if you take time to look for it and listen for it, you'll be able to revel in that in the moment. And it makes thinking about what's ahead in eternity not so scary. It's like, I really appreciate that. So for whatever it's worth, and no matter where you are, and no matter how chaotic things may be in your life, and that's one of the reasons I get out here and walk as much as I do, because I want to get myself freed from the constraints of the media and all of that sort of thing, so that I can really absorb myself into this thought and into this way of thinking, all while trying to improve my body the best I can, but at my age. Anyway, that's just food for thought. I hope that those of you that perhaps may have a chance to listen to this someday may appreciate some of it. But I just really encourage you to stop and think about, heaven, on earth as it is in heaven, our Father who art in heaven. For me, means that He's right. He, or God, is right here with me now, because this is heaven. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. There is a spiritual realm of sorts that it's kind of hard to understand because we can't see it, smell it, or touch it, but we know that it's real. And usually when I've taken time to absorb myself in it, in free thought, I'm not talking about in my panic or fear or anxiety, not those moments necessarily, although I can go back and reflect and remember times when I felt the presence of God for sure, but especially in these quiet, intentional moments where I'm out in the wilderness and can be with God in a quieter, non-distracting environment. And so I'd encourage you to try to find some of that space if you can, and find a way that in your prayer or just in your thinking to open yourself up to the possibility that heaven is here right now. It is what it is, and don't understand all of what that means, but I can tell you this: the feelings that I have, back what I said in the beginning, the feelings that I have when I walk up upon God's creation in some settings, like the Grand Canyon or the Grand Tetons, and we were out there seeing things like that, or just seeing the majesty of a child smile, seeing the wonder of the birth of a child, holding a child and taking care of a child when they're crying and they need you, and you're being that parent or grandparent to try to be that balm of comfort and healing for them. I think you're closer to God sometimes in those moments than we realize, and may not feel it all the time, but I do know that in my second season, I felt God using me in different situations with different people, all the time putting up with my silliness and my awkwardness and some of my not so good things. But I just thank God for that. And I especially thank God for your life. If you're listening to this, if you're here during the same time in life that I am, I love you so much. Thank God for your companionship and your place in my life. It's just amazing. And if you're listening to this after I'm gone and you're part of my family tree, I hope that you know that you came from part of your lineage includes somebody that's taken time to have these thoughts and to share these thoughts with you, because I think it's important that we do that with one another. Perhaps it's a new tradition that you can start in your own way with your own family. Find whatever works for you, but don't be afraid to share it. It's something to celebrate. Man, every day should be a party with God. It's just a party. Wow. Now I understand why different tribes and Native Americans and people around the globe, the Aborigines and people like that, just people who are out in nature and can celebrate that. They've learned that having these big dances and powwows and celebrations and whatever they are, it's lifting that up to God and just being so thankful for that. And anyway, that's my message for today. I hope that God will continue to bless you. Our Father who art in heaven is right here next to me. So don't forget, as much as He loves me, and my love comes from Him, I love you.